All right, guys, thank you for coming to this webinar. Today we have webinar number 24, and we're gonna be covering candidates volume and how to automate all of these in the most popular job boards. I've noticed there's a big challenge out there, and most people trying to understand these different platforms. And I want to basically help you guys set up these systems and also break down some of the challenges. We get a lot of people asking us about how to do certain things, and also people complaining that they are not having enough volume, and that's basically things we want to cover. So let me start by sharing my my screen. I want to basically get started here and trying to understand the big problem of acquisition that we all have, which is bringing enough people to apply. There is obviously less people out there working than before, and there's more companies looking for applicants than there is people looking for jobs in the space. So we need to understand that the acquisition part is getting people to apply, and getting people to apply has some work behind it that most people are ignoring. So a couple of months ago we created this hiring funnel framework, which is 7 parts to this, but I'm gonna touch on this number 1 today really. And it's about understanding clicks, landing pages, and the clarity of the job, making sure that you have all these things in place. So obviously clicks and ads all come from the different platforms: Indeed, Facebook, ZipRecruiter, Google Jobs, job boards, different job boards. And we need to land these people or bring these people to a landing page. And this landing page basically it's to help them sell or help them you say, this is the job for me. We need to build good traffic, good pages with good content about our specific job. It doesn't do any good to have the same page for everyone. I see a lot of people having the same website with the same video, the same person, trying to sell the job. So you need to have a unique page about your company, about your job, about what's unique about your culture. So the acquisition parts really starts here, not by only spending a lot more money on whatever site that you have. So you first have to start at your own website. What are you doing? How are you selling your job? And how is exactly that people find you? Most companies today I see that still don't have a good landing page or a jobs page for the applicants. It's incredible. So if you're asking yourself why I don't have enough applicants, it's because you don't have a good landing page about your job. Remember, we're selling our job to cleaners. We're selling our job to these people. They're not gonna buy anything if it's not well presented. So I'll give you a sample of mine. You can come in and look at it and use it as a template, but we spend time creating videos here exactly about our work. We have done SEO in regards to the page. We have good photography, and then we have 4 sections here in which explain what the job is about, how do they work, how much they can earn, schedule, how do they get paid, benefits. You want to see benefits, obviously you have all those benefits. Requirements, what's required of the job. Testimonials, what are the testimonials? All of this is important so people know who you are, and this is critical. Many people still miss the most important part, which is communication about your job offer. Doesn't do any good to have a bunch of ads out there if you don't have a good ad. So that's the first thing you have to see in your hiring process, in your acquisitions part of the funnel. So let's go back to our presentation here. Now, the goal of this page is to maximize the conversion rate. So people who look at it and click apply on your website, that is the goal. So just like you spend money building a great landing page for your customers, you need to spend the money to build for your employees or for the people that you're trying to hire. If you don't have that, you're missing on a big opportunity. So I want to bring this to you first, because most people are thinking, how much more money do I need to spend on the different job boards? And sometimes your problem could be that you need to fix just exactly this thing. So please do me a favor and make sure you have this job created, this page created. And one of the things is important is that when you name the page, if you can look at here on the top, you see house cleaning, housekeeping jobs in Dallas. You have to name the page correctly. You have to put the keywords in these pages correctly. All of these things are important. Why is important? Because the SEO, it's important. So when you have the page correctly named correctly, you can show up on the search engine results. Obviously, there's always gonna be the Indeed and the rest of the job boards, but eventually, if people keep scrolling down on search results, they will find your company. And that is very important, to really have some organic traffic that is free, that you're not paying tons of money. So do not rely on somebody building you a landing page of your domain, because that's not doing anything good. When you stop paying for that service or that company, you lose whatever traffic or SEO they built. So I always recommend build your own careers or jobs page, and whatever form that you're using or system that you're using, always make sure people is being redirected to your page. That is the best thing I can suggest as far as your website. Okay, so we're gonna start talking also about here common mistakes people are making here. I can see a lot of people with broken links or pages that are not secure, which this demotivates people to apply to your company. So make sure your company has a good working URL. I see a lot of people not collecting enough information. So the form is just basically a couple of questions and then attach a resume. Really, attaching a resume is really not very useful, because you cannot compare people like apples to apples. So I don't recommend collecting resumes. That makes it even harder to get people to apply. But in this case of this form, name, phone, and email and a resume is not good enough. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time screening people if they send you resumes. Now, there's another mistake people make, is poor quality in the web experience when people are receiving the or are gonna apply to your company. So for example, this company particularly had 37 steps. I was at 34 right here, and I was at 19, and it had 37 steps to complete. I mean, it's gonna take forever to people to complete this. So make sure you don't have 100 questions, but make sure you don't have 2 questions. You have to find a balance between, enough information that you need, but not make it so complicated that people do not apply. Also, poor quality in the photography. A lot of people still have, unfortunately, stock photography, pixelated photos. All of these has to be fixed. If you don't have this correctly set up, you're always going to have issues with conversion. You're not going to show as a professional company. You want to make sure that you have a good photographer take photos for your company, your employees, real people, and then make sure you put them on the site. So make sure these things are covered. Once those things are covered, let's start with one of the biggest platform out there, which is Indeed. And I see that most people do not understand Indeed. Most people are just afraid, or I don't know, they have some sort of they're kind of get stuck with Indeed because they say, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to set up an account. And the first thing we have to understand is that Indeed is a search engine of jobs and responds to a search query based on location. So when you enter into Indeed and you look for house cleaning jobs in name your city, whoever has the best description and the content within the description of the job is the one that starts to show up on top. But obviously, because Indeed is a search engine just like Google about jobs, they show on top whoever has the most budget and also has the best description and matches the query of the person that is looking for that job. So those things are the combination of what makes people be on the top. Description, or the actual query that person types on the keyboard, on the screen, and then the budget. Those are the two things that really make volume as far as Indeed. Now you're gonna see eventually your job post, and this job post is gonna be it's gonna see a link to your website or to another system that you use. Now it's very important that this is when your website, your careers page, starts to help you convert people. If you don't have a good job page, if you don't have a good description about your company, about who you are, then they look at it and they don't apply, but you pay for the click. So it's people think this is rocket science, and Indeed is nothing complicated. You just have to have the basics well covered. And by that, I mean the copy, the description of the job. So let's look at here some of my Indeed account here. So typically you can have obviously free jobs, paid jobs, and I have a free one here. So the first things you want to cover as far as the basics of Indeed is that you have the correct title for the job. So typically house cleaning tech, house cleaner, housekeeper. These are the main searches that people are looking for. Then you have the city, the location, the details of how much you pay, and all of these things, and then comes the description. The job description is very important, and you have to put here exactly what you do, what you offer. All of these things are critical to the success of your business. If you don't have a well-written job description, it's going to be very hard to bring in people. So everything really starts at the copy level. What's written, what people are perceiving from you. We haven't spent any money yet. We're still figuring to make sure that we have the basics done correctly. Once you have these done correctly, it's a lot easier to bring in people. Okay? Now, as you keep moving along Indeed, you will see settings here. So you have obviously the job settings, the advertising location, when you need to hire, the budget, and then you have this section called application settings. And when you click on this pencil, you will see that most of you guys have email. And what this does is that it's gonna send you an email with the applicants. And when you do that, you're gonna have a bunch of people applying to your website, to your form, but you're gonna have a lot of emails that you have to click through and look through those guys. And then you're gonna start to say, hey, please go and fill my other application. or hey, please contact me. And you're gonna have a lot of these back and forth with people. So what I do and what I recommend is that you have the application URL setting enabled, and by this you have to call Indeed and you have to say, I need to redirect my applicants. When you do this, you're gonna put here the URL of your jobs page. So in this case, mine is gmail.com/jobs. Now, this is the best way to redirect and automate the traffic to go to your site and go to your company and not have to deal with people on going back to the dashboard. If you're using just the normal through email application, you're gonna have a candidate section here, and then you're gonna have this thing full of people here. As you see, I have 0 candidates here because I'm redirecting everyone to my own form. So make sure that you're not having to manually talk to people here, because 80% of those people are not gonna respond, but you're still wasting time trying to talk to them. So my recommendation is, and the way to automate Indeed, is that you redirect those guys to your web form, to the system that you're using, and then they apply there instead of you talking to them on Indeed, because you're gonna see that you're gonna spend a bunch of time trying to talk to them, and most of those people will not respond. Okay. All right. So right, let's go back here to the screen on basics. In some US markets, they charge per click, per month, or per applicant. And I've spoken to several of my customers, and I've spoken to Indeed. And I asked them why some cities are different than others, and say, well, we're testing what produces the most revenue for the company, for Indeed. In some cities, they feel like per month works best, and some cities think that per click works best. So if you ask somebody in another city, hey, how much are you spending, or how much are you paying? The answer is gonna be very different, because they are changing constantly this, and they change per city. So, go figure. They're trying to obviously monetize as much and create as much revenue from Indeed, that this is why you see so much change in the way they charge customers. Okay, cool. Let's move on here to some other basics. Wow, what about best days to post or worst days to post? So I took my own account and I looked through basically up to last week, and I did an analysis of all these impressions, click-through rates, applications, costs, etc. And I noticed a pattern, and the pattern is right here. The days with less impressions is Fridays and Saturdays. It makes a lot of sense. Why? Because people are not applying for jobs on Friday nights or Saturdays. They're out there doing something, enjoying their life, right? And the days with the more impressions is Mondays and Tuesdays. So what is an impression? An impression is when your ad or is served to somebody, a house cleaner, and sees it. Now, when you look at CTR or click-through rate, this is basically a calculation of how many clicks went through to your site, to your ad. So basically, I did an average of all this data and compiled and got these two. So if you want to start an ad, make sure it's between Mondays and Tuesdays. Fridays and Saturdays, nobody's gonna see it because nobody's interested in finding a job on Friday night. So these are two pieces of data that you should consider when you're putting your jobs out there, your ads. I also calculated click-through rate, which all combined was 22.6. Total clicks. Apply rate, I have all these in 0. Why? Because I'm redirecting people to my own form. I'm not having them apply through Indeed Apply. If you're not familiar with Indeed Apply is really that blue button says apply with Indeed. They put a name, an email, and a resume, and that's it. And then they send the application. When you let people apply through Indeed Apply, you're gonna basically receive a name, an email, a phone, and then a resume. You're not gonna have specific questions about house cleaning answered. You don't know if they have, the skills needed for the job. You're just gonna get somebody a name and a resume. And when you do that, you waste a lot of time because you don't have enough data to make a decision about this person. Okay. So that is a conclusion I received or I got from analyzing my own ads. The way you can see this, if you wanted to do it on your own Indeed, is that you go back to your jobs, and then you're gonna look for performance report. You click here, you're gonna see the full details of this. You can download this and see it in date ranges. So that is basically as far as we're gonna go today on Indeed. If you have any questions about Indeed, please post them on the chat. We'll try to cover them as we go along. All right, so let's move on to Facebook. So Facebook obviously sends leads, not full applications. When we look on that, okay, so when you are on Facebook or business.facebook.com, which is kind of like the inbox part of Facebook, you're gonna see people applying, right? Applying to different jobs. And as you see, we get tons of people here interacting, but the important part, or what you should know about Facebook, is that the application that they send you is just a name and a resume, or sometimes nothing. So I want to show you here what you need to know here. This is what you need to do to automate Facebook and stop wasting time on Facebook. Because a lot of people apply, but you just get an email and a resume. So when you go to the automations portion of Facebook, you're gonna see all these different messages, and there is one here, job application received. So you're gonna click on this, and you're gonna put here, basically turn this on right here, and then you're gonna put in Spanish and English or whatever language you want to put this message here in this text. And if you look at it on this right side, you're gonna see it says, "Hi, we've received your application, appreciate your interest in working for us. To continue, please complete the full application at this website." And then I send them to my landing page of jobs. Okay, this automation occurs always when somebody applies to a Facebook job. Since most of the people that apply on Facebook are most of the time undocumented, then starting or engaging a conversation with them, it's gonna be a lot of wasted time. So by automating Facebook with this job application timing, you're letting the real interested people and those that qualify to go to your website and apply. That way you don't have to start and engage a conversation and waste time with somebody that might not be the right people. So think about that. Every minute that you spend on the wrong person could be invested in maybe the right person. So that's why I recommend that you create this specific automation. So this is what you do, and then right below here, you're gonna basically click complete the job application. It's gonna be the hyperlink on this side, and then you're gonna see the one for Spanish and for English. I do recommend that if you hire people that speak Spanish, that you offer an application in Spanish as well. I do that when somebody lands on my site and they click jobs, they are presented with this box so they can pick a language. And we even went ahead and even created a video in Spanish. So this one is in Spanish, the other one is in English. So you really have to take the effort and really make a quality landing page, so this starts to really solve the problem of acquiring people or volume. One thing is spending money in trying to bring leads or applicants, but is most of the time I find that people don't have those basics covered and they are just wasting money hoping and praying that somebody will apply. But think about this, the reality is that employees can pick and choose any job they want, anywhere, doing anything, and they'll get hired on the spot. So at this point, we as cleaning companies, we're selling our jobs to these people, and we have to do it in a professional way. Okay, so that is basically the Google, the Facebook automation that you want to create. Clearly your job, your Facebook job ad or post should have, again, your URL. That's why I strongly suggest that you build, or you have your web person build you a landing page for jobs, because everything that you do as far as marketing and simplifying your life is to send people to one unique URL. If they call, if they say send a message, you send them to the same place, and all of them get funneled through the same form. That's how you can compare apples to apples. Not with resumes, it's impossible. You're never gonna have enough time in your life to make that happen. Cool, so let's move on here. Give me a second. Perfect. So let's look at our page here again. Okay, Facebook, how to automate it. Basically, you're gonna redirect them to that page. Now, I wanna bring to your attention, guys, Google Jobs. Google Jobs, as most people don't know, Google is trying to really compete and provide a better search experience for job seekers. And most people don't know that Google is really working hard to bring a competitor to Indeed as far as search volume. There's a lot of money being made by Indeed, and most people really have most of the time a hate relationship, because we feel like we have to pay Indeed, otherwise we have no people. So Google notices this and they create something called Google Jobs. Most people never knew about this. So if you look for cleaning jobs in Orlando, Florida, for example, you're gonna see that the first results is this box here. Now when you look for house cleaning services in Orlando, you're gonna see the typical box with a map, and you're gonna see the top companies with the highest ratings, because Google understands that is a consumer looking for a cleaning service. In this case, you are a cleaning business offering a job, so you should be visible on this box as well. Okay, and most people don't know about this. Why? Because you never look for cleaning jobs in your area. So if you do the exercise and just put any city here, Miami, for example, you'll see again that same box. Okay, now when you click on the more jobs here, you're gonna see that Google has built this unique search engine as the design specifically for looking for jobs. You see? So this is gonna get a lot bigger. Google is gonna put a lot more efforts into this because people are tired of paying Indeed for every ad. And these days, unless you put some money as far as budget, you're not gonna get any much traffic. So it's very important that you guys know that this is now another source of applicants. It's somewhat new. Obviously, Indeed has the most brand recognition as far as employees looking for jobs. That's why they get so much traffic and they can charge whatever they want because they got all the traffic. But Google is a good new way to do it. Now you're gonna ask yourself, how do I post on Google? Well, typically it has to be through a job board like trabajo.org or ZipRecruiter, or just different sites that push through that. 85% of the job offers starts here in Google. Most people start looking on Google, and how do you get here? So those are some options. We as PipeHire recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, we released a beta version of pushing your job through Google, and I want to show you guys how that works here. So when you're in your job offer, we build this get more applicants, and when you click this button here, basically we're pushing to Google Jobs. Right now this is a beta feature. It's free for the next 2 months. We're testing it out, see if it brings more volume. We want to track conversions, we want to track volume, but this is a good way to get started on Google Jobs. So you start to show on the search results, and not only on Indeed. Why? Because you want to show up in 3 places. This box, on Indeed, and hopefully if you did a good job on your page, on your jobs page, and your SEO page, you're gonna start to show up eventually in the second or third page from your own company. So for example, this company here, King of Mates, you see this is a natural result of a company here in Miami. And then you're gonna see, Cleaning Authority, this is their page. So the third page, or second or third page, is where those natural search engine results of those companies start to show up. So think about this. If you show up on Google, on Indeed, and then you show up on the search results, you're gonna be very ahead of most people. Now add to that a good landing page, a good site, good photography, good video, good description of your job. Now you're 80% ahead of most companies. So please make sure that you have these, you have time to set up these things. Pay your web developer, whoever is helping you in that, to really build a quality page with good SEO. And then you're gonna be a lot more ahead of people when it comes to creating volume and bringing people to your company. All right, let's look on back here. What else do we have? Okay, so that is basically as far as that. ZipRecruiter is another player in the game. ZipRecruiter has been trying to really come into the game of Indeed and try to really gain some market share. We're pushing right now to ZipRecruiter. Why? Because ZipRecruiter pushes the job to obviously their site, but they also push to other smaller job boards. So there's about 100 smaller niche job boards that receive different jobs from different companies, and we're really working on building a better or distribute the job in more places. I think we are all tired of paying only Indeed, and they keep raising prices, they keep doing whatever they want, and most people keeps paying. So we think we need to, fish in another pond and really not depend only on one player or one source. We want to, distribute the risk across other different sources of workers. So that's why we're building more connections to more systems as they become available. There's not many, obviously, but or bigger ones. There's not many big ones. There's Glassdoor, there's Zip, there's Indeed, there's Monster, Simply Hire. Those are the big players, and then there's a bunch of smaller groups or job boards that we're trying to push the jobs to those sites. So in the next coming months, you're gonna see more distribution as far as PipeHire to other systems. Okay. All right. So I want to open up the mic to questions, things that you guys want to share, and we'll love to hear from you guys. I know there's people that are struggling out there with managing the systems, and I want to see if anybody has a question that we can help you answer today. Here's one. If applicants go to the URL instead of email, do they still go through the deal breaker funnel and our questions? Well, if you send somebody from Indeed to like a PipeHire form or another form, obviously the deal breaker questions most likely will not go through on Indeed, because you're telling Indeed, hey, do not take the application on Indeed, send it to my site, send it to my form, and I'll do the screening. Because what those deal breaker questions of Indeed is that you are asking Indeed to screen people for you. The thing is that Indeed's screening questions are pretty simple, driver's license or car or things of that nature. But the reality is that there are a lot more questions that we need to ask before we consider somebody viable or somebody qualified for the job. So I recommend that the real screening occurs in your form with all the questions that you really need to answer or have answered. That's why on our forms here that we've built, they all come with their pre-template ready for you to use, and they have here obviously scoring attached to those questions. So for example, if you have felonies, you get minus 10 points. You will basically be at that point mark as a C player, and you will not have to deal with this person later because the system just puts it there and puts it in the C player category. This person will not be able to book a call with you through Calendly. Only B and A players can book through a Calendly integration that we have here. So it's important that those questions happen in your web form. Otherwise, and what you've noticed so far is that most people, could have a car and be available to work on a certain schedule, but Indeed doesn't allow you to create more questions that are very targeted to our industry. And what we've built here is a fully customized way to create your own forms with your own scoring, and you can change it, you can give more weight to another question or another so that is a good thing about being able to really create a customized solution here. So that's why I don't use Indeed's apply, or I don't take them on Indeed, because I know I'm gonna waste a lot of my time, and it's usually people that are just there trying to collect unemployment. All right, with Indeed, is a sponsorship of ads the same as you paying for the ad? I have a friend in our industry that says she has never paid for an Indeed ad, but in the past, if I didn't sponsor an ad, I basically get no applicants. Okay, thank you, Lynn. Um, Basically, sponsoring an ad, which is going back to my ads here. Sponsoring an ad is basically paying for ads. They just call it sponsor. But I mean, you can have free ads. You can have the paid ones. And this is what I do. Basically, I have, if you notice here, I have this one sponsored for $250. And I have another one sponsored for $500 a month. And they've sent 536 people. So the reality is that in some markets, in some smaller cities, sometimes a free ad could work. But if you're in a competitive city like Dallas, Atlanta, or Phoenix, and big, large cities with tons of people or tons of good companies with high budgets to hire people, you're not going to get away with a free ad. So, it really depends on the demographic area where you are that really pushes for an ad that's to be paid or sponsored or not. So, that's why I tell you guys, do not ask your friend in another city how much they're spending, because it changes dramatically from market to market. New York City, for example, I have a friend there, and he has to spend around $2,000 a month just to stay on top of the search results. Because the density of the city, there's a lot of volume of people looking for house cleaners. And then the companies are spending obviously as much money as they can to really bring those applicants, versus somebody like in Kansas in a small town. She doesn't have to spend a lot because the town is smaller and the demand is different. So it's very important that you guys do not really share or ask your friends in other cities. Okay, Lynn responds here that, yeah, it makes sense. She's in a rural area. Thank you, Lynn. All right, let's go to another question here. Do you pay Indeed for leads if they apply through your URL instead of email? Yeah, you're always going to pay even if you redirect people to your own form. Why? Because that's how they are. You're always going to pay for those people. Whatever form of application, through email or through your website or your form, you're always going to pay to be. Remember, paying is what positions your ad on top of the search results. Obviously, combined with the copy, the title, the search query, all of that is what brings you to the top of the search. And then, obviously, if you have a budget of $500 a month, you're going to be shown more times than somebody that's in the $200 budget and somebody that's zero budget. So, because remember, if you think about Google, you remember Google Ads that you pay through for the ad on the top part, the yellow section? It's the same way. You just pay to be on top, and to be displayed more times, you pay more. So the bigger budget, you get shown more. That's why they track. I was looking here, impressions. Impressions is what's the amount of times your ad is shown to applicants. And the amount of impressions that you get is basically directed or related to the budget and to the description of your ad. So that's why good copy, good landing page, and good budget will most of the time do the job for you, bringing more volume. Okay. Somebody asks here, says, you mentioned it was not too good to request too little information, but also it's bad to have too many questions on steps. What would be an average of ideal number of questions to have in our form? Well, I'll answer here this for you. I don't know if it's the amount of questions. I think it's about the right questions. If this was maybe a cashier's job, a couple of questions will be enough. But since this is a job that somebody needs to go into somebody's house I need to know more things. So right here, basically, we have, I don't know how many questions. I haven't counted them really, to be honest, but I want to make sure I cover the following. Let me preview this form here. I really want to obviously cover personal information, the basic information of somebody. I want to make sure I have to know about your experience, your education. I want to make sure I'm covering the background check section. Do you have felonies? Do you have suspended driver's license? Have you have any issues with that? I want to have a section of questionnaire. For example, I want to know if you need, if you're available to work certain days, certain times. I want to know if you have a vehicle, if you have, you're allergic to animals. I want to know, sometimes some of, of the companies I see ask specific questions. If, like, can you mix bleach with this other product? What happens? Sometimes they want to know if they really know how to clean with, unique questions. So, and then obviously then questionnaire and work history. So these are kind of the 5 areas you want to cover in order to really make a good decision. So that will be the answer for that. Just not too many, not too little. You just have to have the right questions. We on PipeHard, we give you all those questions already for you to use, and they're basically you just put in your logo, you just change these yellow sections, and then you're ready to go. You don't have to recreate it from scratch. All right. You mentioned it was not good to request too little. Oh, hey, sorry, that's the same one. Oh, okay, Luis, my co-host is saying that about 20 to 25 questions is the amount of questions or forms have. So there you go. Yeah, the ones that I show you here, this was one right here. It was 37 questions. That's too many questions, and this one was too little. So about 20, 25 questions is good enough to really know if that's the right person for your job. Let me see if they have more questions here. Okay, no more questions. Let's check. Let me stop sharing here. Okay. You have questions, you can also send them to my email, or you can send them to our Facebook group. Every month or so I do a webinar, and I try to always cover things that are very relevant and things that are people having issues with. I know the market in general, it's demanding. I mean, people are looking for employees, and everybody's looking for employees at this point. What really is gonna separate you from the rest, it's your brand, your message, who you are, your copy. You really want to attract people that would rather be in your company than somebody else's company. So that's when it's really important that you have a clear message and you have your values that you really want. Set out in your website. We have a section of values here on our site. It's here, values. Why? Because that's, we really, we need to bring the people that will fit in our company. Before COVID, anything was fine. I mean, nowadays people are very picky of who they want to work with, and you have to be really good at communicating your brand's message, your values. One of the things that people come to work for Gmates, it's that we do everything with non-toxic products, green products, supplies, and the customers that we attract are also looking for this type of company. So we really, if you think about it, we're like a marketplace, because we're selling somebody else's time to somebody that needs it, and we need to create this relationship. So it's very important that the message to your customer is done correctly, and the message to your employee is done correctly, so you can bring those two people together. Okay, and I wanna thank you, great info. Okay, all right. So in the next 5 minutes, I just want to cover one thing that I've noticed, and maybe you guys can help me with this. So as you know, we all use these different platforms, and we all spend a lot of money on Indeed and whatever sites that we use to bring people in. So we had one idea on PipeHire, was to basically, from all the applicants that I receive in my own cleaning business and others that I've seen, is that there's about a 90% of those people that a percentage of those do not qualify, obviously, because they don't have the legal documentation or they don't have a driver's license. But then there's another group of people that do qualify, but they are far from my location, or they are sometimes too young or too old, or whatever might be the reason. But sometimes we cannot hire those people because of different reasons, but they will work for somebody else's company. So I was thinking and say, what if I could put all of those applicants that I don't use, put them to the service or to a list, so other people, other companies could use those people. And instead of spending so much more money, new leads, you could see a list of candidates around your local area that other companies couldn't hire because, or maybe didn't have a spot for them, or they just were not a good fit with the company. So I was thinking of creating like a, just call it like a mini, how do you call it, marketplace, I guess, of where you put all these people that you don't use, so other companies locally could use them, and maybe you could resell those people or those leads to other companies for a small fraction, versus you having to go out there and spend more money. So if all of us would technically put those people in one site, it will reduce the amount of money that we spend on leads, and it will make it more efficient for all of us in the cleaning business to kind of have a master site where we put all the people that we don't use, and maybe somebody can use that person and can give them a job to this person. So I'm thinking of something like that, and I would love to hear any ideas about you, kind of like crowdsourcing. So that is a quick idea. If you have any thoughts about that idea, or would you like to hear more about it, or participate or explore more about it, I would love to talk to you. You can send us an email to juan@pipehirehrm.com, and just maybe contact us through that. I just want to explore this, if this is something we could do with our current users, so people can really take advantage of all these people that are being technically not hired or wasted, and it could be a good opportunity for other cleaning businesses to buy those, you making some money of those leads that you pay for, to continue hiring. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. This will be recorded and posted in our Facebook groups and on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go look for us in YouTube as PipeHire and then click subscribe. You get notified every time that we create a video. And thank you so much for tonight, and have a great night. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.